Okay, for today's math activity, you're going to be working on linear functions and systems of equations, similar to last week. But the only thing is that this time we are focusing on getting a linear table, and you have to determine the linear equation for that table in the format of y equals mx plus b. So we're going to go back to how do we find the slope and the y-intercept on a linear table. Then you're going to use that written equation along with your given equation, which is the one below where it says using substitution. And you're going to solve the systems of equations by substitution and then, of course, graphing. You have a graph here. So let's go ahead and start with this first one. If you have your linear table and they're telling you, or I'm telling you that this is a linear table, so we're looking for a pattern. One thing we're going to do to find slope is we're going to see how are the y values changing. What is that pattern? So from -4 to -2, as I'm getting closer to 0, that's an increase of 2. And from -2 to 0, they had to add another 2. It's a little bit more obvious with these values down here. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, and so on and so forth. But then I'm going to look at the x values. How are those changing? For the most part, it usually increases by 1, but it's not always the case. So 0 to 1, that's an increase of 1. So the pattern here is that they keep adding 1 each time. So this is going to be helpful to determine the slope m. Remember, it's the change in y over the change in x. Rise over run. So then my change in y is 2. My change in x is 1. So my slope is 2 over 1. We can simplify that to simply 2. Then we need to identify the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line is going to cross the y-axis, and it is our y value when x is 0. So our y-intercept is a -4. Since we have to write it in the format of y equals mx plus b, we already have both pieces of information. This is why it's called the slope-intercept form. So the equation is going to be y is equal to our slope of 2. Slope always goes with the variable x. And since our y-intercept is -4, I'm just going to put -4. So that's step number 1, determining the linear equation for the given table. The next part is we're going to try to solve this system of equations using the equation we just found and the given equation. This one here is given in standard form. So the equation we just found, we do see that the y is isolated. So we know y is equal to the expression 2x minus 4. And the y over here on the left side is completely by itself. So we're going to substitute in for y. So then we're going to have -4x plus 6 times, instead of y, we're going to substitute in the 2x minus 4. And that is all equal to 24. And then here we just simplify. Notice that the new equation only has the variable x, so we're going to solve for x. First thing we're going to do is simplify by applying the distributive property. We have -4x we bring down, 6 times 2x is 12x. And then you have 6 times -4, which is -24, and that's all equal to 24. The next thing is we're going to try to simplify and combine like terms. So this term here that has an x and this term here that has an x can be combined, both of those together. If I have a negative and a positive, I subtract, but I have more positive, so that's going to be an 8x. And I still have the -24. It's equal to 24. Since we're trying to solve for x, we need to get the constant on the other side. So the inverse is to add 24 to both sides. Move over here. So then I have 8x is equal to 24 plus 24 is 48. And then our last math move, since 8 is the coefficient with x. We're going to divide both sides by 8. Therefore, x equals 6. And we all know that when we're trying to find a solution, it's an ordered pair. So the 6 is only half our answer. We're going to take this x value, now that we know that it's equal to 6, and we're going to substitute it in for that x right there to solve for y. So then we have 2 times 6 minus 4. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 4, we get 8. So y, therefore, equals 8. So the solution to the system should be 6, 8. Now let's try to see if we can get that same solution, but using graphing. This is where it's similar to what we were doing last week. We're going to take this first equation that has the y-intercept of -4, because that was already identified. And so I'm going to start on the y-axis at -4. Our slope is 2, and the rise is, or 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 2 and run to the right 1. And I'm going to continue that pattern, putting as many lattice points on my graph as possible. This way we have the best sketch line. The inverse or opposite way is to go down 2 and to the left 1. And then we're going to connect these points to sketch the first line in the system. The second linear line is -4x plus 6y is equal to 24. This one, we're trying to get it to look like y is equal to mx plus b format in slope-intercept form to graph it. So to get this term 6y by itself, we're going to add 4x to both sides. Those cancel out because they're inverses. So we have 6y is equal to, and again, these two terms, one has a variable, one doesn't. So we're going to keep it separate. So we're going to keep it as 4x plus 24. And then our last math move to get y by itself is to divide all terms by 6. So we have y is equal to 4/6 x. And then 24 divided by 6 is just 4. So our y-intercept, it's a little bit challenging writing with this pen. The y-intercept is a +4, and our slope is 4/6, or I could even simplify that to 2/3. So I'm going to start at 4, and I am going to rise 2 and run 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to rise 2 again and then run 1, 2, 3. I see where it intersects. And then rise 2 again and run 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go down 2 and to the left 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to keep going until I have no more space on the graph. This ensures that the line is the best sketched possible. And we know a solution is where the lines intersect or where they cross. And we already knew the solution from substitution. It was 6, 8. And we can verify that our x value here is 6 and our y value is 8. So this is a great way to check if you're on the right path. So try, you're going to continue with the other 3 doing the same. When you're done, please turn it in to the corresponding period in the back of the room.